welcome to our Davos 2015 coverage and to one of the interviews I've been most looking forward to. I have with me Nobel Laureate, Sir Christopher Pissarides. Thank you very much, sir, for speaking with us.
Pleasure to be with you.
I know we're here to also talk about what the ERC is doing,
yes.
but I'd like to put a few questions to you about the global economy first, if you permit me to.
Yes.
Is 2015 looking like a tougher year for the global economy? We've just had downgrades in terms of growth estimates by the IMF.
It's looking very uncertain, I have to say. A few months ago, I would have said, no, 2015 is definitely looking better. But we had one or two unfavorable developments centered on Europe. There are geopolitical risks in Ukraine and also South China Seas, actually. I'm a little bit worried by that as to what impact it will have on the economy. We've been seeing a slowing down of China. I'm not too worried by that because there is still a fast rate of growth. India is doing well, I think, and it would be a good year for India, I think. I'm looking forward to seeing, in fact, what program of reform there would be there. But my biggest worry is Europe, the European Union, because I don't think in the Eurozone we've been following correct policies, and I hope that this coming meeting this Thursday is one that will give a little bit of a stimulus. And of course, Russia is worrying me because the collapse in the price of oil has put them into a deep recession. They're a big country, a major player in the area, in the Eurasia area, and we still have to wait and see what impact that change will have, which cannot be positive.
Do you expect that the ECB, which is estimated or expected to launch a 500 billion euro bond buying program, will be effective in fighting off deflationary pressures here in the Eurozone?
If they go to that extent, I think it will go somewhere towards fighting deflation. Of course, you shouldn't expect to see immediate results. It might take 1 or 2 years, maybe. That's the kind of lag you expect in monetary policy. But at least expectations will change for the better, and then private investors will move in as well, and it will make a difference in Europe. It's been long overdue. The fact that they left it so long means that they have to go in more aggressively. I wish it could be combined with fiscal policy, fiscal expansion by the countries that can afford to do it, that are within the Maastricht criteria for fiscal policy. It doesn't look like it, and we just have to take whatever crumbs our leaders in Europe throw at us. Everything is welcome.
A weaker euro is definitely good news for many exporting countries here in the Eurozone, but it's also creating considerable currency volatility, not just in the region, but for across the world. It's prompting other central banks to do exactly what the Swiss National Bank did last week. There's now the fear that Denmark might follow suit. What do you think will be the outcome of all this currency volatility through the course of this year?
Well, that's a big worry, you see, because I don't see the volatility stopping. In fact, I see it increasing, if anything, and it really is a big concern. I mean, to be completely honest, I don't know what the answer is, because in the Eurozone we have countries that need different exchange rates from the ones they have now. If you look at it from the German point of view, the euro is so weak that they're accumulating surpluses like anything, and they're storing them up. And essentially what that means is that they're taking money which could be spent elsewhere, and they're storing it up for future consumption, as they're saying. In fact, I heard one German official saying they're storing it up to spend on pensions when their population ages. That's a long time
from now.
Into the future from now. But then if you look at it from the point of view of the southern countries, what they call the southern periphery, then if anything the euro is overvalued. You know that because if they had an independent central bank and it did what the Swiss central bank did, their currencies would go way down against the euro as we know it now. So we have this conflict. I don't know what's the solution. I'm personally being of Greek origin and rather concerned about the economy of the motherland, so to speak. I do like the idea of seeing a weak euro, but I don't like the idea of seeing German surpluses being accumulated, and that's why I keep saying there should be more fiscal expansion. I wish they would spend what they're accumulating because of the weak euro that is at that level, at that rate, because of other countries in the Eurozone and not because of what they've done to their own economy.
How high would you rate the possibility of a potential Greek exit from the Eurozone? So we have elections later this week on the 25th. do you think that Greece might consider exiting the Eurozone? And if that were to happen, will it lead to a destabilization of the Eurozone and eventual breakup of sorts?
Well, no, I think it's not going to happen, actually. I mean, I would attach extremely high probability to them staying in. There is a lot of support. They made up their mind 2-3 years ago to stay in. The current government, the one we still have until Sunday, is committed to following the program of the Troika to make sure that they stay in. The international lenders didn't give them anything at all in return, which is my big disappointment. You have a prime minister and a government that have tried really hard to follow what they were instructed to do in order to remain in the euro, the austerity and the structural reforms and everything else that they threw at them. They went in December and asked for something on the debt, which is desperately needed because I don't think it's sustainable. The international lenders said no, let's reconsider in February, but February is too late if another government comes in. Now the new government that will come in will try to renegotiate on very hard terms. I don't think they're going to get very much, not more than what the current government is going to get. But the main reason I say they're going to stay in is that the leading party in the polls now is not unanimous on what it wants to do with respect to Brexit and the euro. And there is a substantial faction of the party that strongly supports remaining in the euro. And when you combine that with the current governing party, which is in favor of the euro, I don't think you stand any chance at all of getting a majority in parliament that Greece will exit. The second part to your question, will it do much damage to the Eurozone? It will do damage because the idea of the Eurozone is that there should be more integration. And if someone were to exit, that means less integration. We're going to start speculation who is next. Financial markets love that kind of thing. They love seeing weakness somewhere and attacking. And of course, these attacks could be self-fulfilling. We could see other countries following that exit route because they've been attacked by huge speculative funds that they cannot match.
Okay. You identified the problems of the Eurozone as probably the biggest problem facing the global economy this year and maybe next. This has been an issue that I think we've been dealing with for several years now, ever since the global financial crisis, and we keep coming back to Eurozone issues. How long do you think it's going to take for Eurozone administration as well as member states to resolve this? When will we stop discussing the Eurozone as potentially on the edge of a precipice?
Well, I'm so disappointed that they haven't done it yet. And in every Davos meeting, we're saying, next year things will be better. But in fact, next year things are the same. If you leave everything as is, and if there is no political volatility, political uncertainty in what's happening, the structural reforms that are being undertaken in Spain, Italy and Greece should start having an effect in something like 4 to 5 years after they are being implemented.
Okay.
Now, Spain were the first, so which was about 2011. So you would expect Spain to be showing positive signs maybe next year, if the Podemos left-wing party doesn't come into power and reverses everything. Italy is only just beginning in a serious way with Renzi. Greece has made reforms, it hasn't implemented them. If they reverse it now, the answer is never if we carry on like this. Because there is political interference that doesn't allow the economy to move in the direction that the economies are pushing it. And that's why I'm becoming more and more disillusioned and pessimistic about the Eurozone. So
we're going to be back here in Davos next year talking about the Eurozone
yet
again.
About the same thing, I'm afraid,
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yes.
There is one other question about the global economy I want to talk to you about, and which is the big fall in crude prices that we've seen, which has come as a great boon for consuming countries in important countries like India. But it also seems to mark the beginning of a super down cycle in commodities, especially given China's growth numbers. What kind of impact do you think that's going to have on growth? Will lower natural resource costs boost growth, or do you think the instability it causes in countries like Russia, Australia, Brazil, etc., will in fact hurt global growth?
Well, there's going to be divergence. Those who are using the resources should benefit from it, and countries like India and my advice is better grab what you can now, because it's not going to last forever.
Sure.
Despite what they're saying, because OPEC might cut back eventually and all that. On balance, I think things are going to be better.
Okay.
And Russia, the reason it's in there, it's not that they're a big producer. I mean, it's the fact that they haven't used their oil correctly. They've been extracting oil, they've been exporting it, they're using the money to consume domestically. I mean, a country with high levels of education, a large country, such a major player in international politics and everything, should develop industry. It should use its oil to develop its industry. And benefit from a fall in the international price of oil, because then its own industry would be getting cheaper oil, not be in the hands of OPEC producers or Chinese consumers as to what resources they get through their international payments. So I like the idea of low energy prices. I hope they stay there for long, and I hope that the industry of countries like India and Europe and Japan take advantage of it and go on a new stage of fast growth.
Is Russia on the brink of a default, do you think?
No, they've got a lot of reserves.
Okay, so finally I want to come to the ERC and its innovation program, and if you can tie it in for me on the larger problems facing Europe, not just the immediate monetary policy problems or the fiscal policy problems, but the larger problems facing Europe and its economies, and how they could be revived by programs of this nature.
Well, if we forget the very short-term problems that we're facing now, the key issue that is going to make a society a better society to live in is productivity. How do we raise the productivity of our labor force so that we can produce more and more cheaply, and therefore we can spread consumption more widely and make growth more inclusive? And that productivity is going to come from technology. Technology means research, and research needs funding. And what the ERC, the European Research Council, is doing is that it's selecting very carefully programs that are innovative, programs that look to improving the technology, European technology in the future, and eventually implementing it. Europe has fallen behind in that. We don't have anything in Europe like Silicon Valley in California or the Massachusetts technological parks. The Americans have put a lot more money into research, a lot more than Europe in the past, and that's how they succeeded. It's not that we don't have the brains, we need the resources as well. And what the ERC is doing is to use researchers who are located in Europe from throughout the world, including some Indian researchers from what I understand, support their research, and some Russian researchers, in fact, that I've seen, supporting their research. They're long-term programs. There's no rush to produce quick results. It's not publish or perish. We're not talking about publishing or perishing here. We're talking about fundamental research that will lead to new technologies and hopefully establish social science parks and science parks like Silicon Valley in California.
And hopefully rival the US in what it's managed to create in terms of an innovation ecosystem.
Yeah, and maybe export some of this technology to India, to the digital parks of India, because you do have, in fact, you probably match Europe, in fact, on your own Silicon Valley, which is.
Well, we're also making an effort to make in India.
Whose name I cannot remember, but
Bangalore.
Bangalore, yes.
Yes, of course. Sir Pissarides, thank you so much for your time.
Sorry
for freezing you out here in the cold, but have a good Davos. Thank you very much. We have the sun, yes, sir. Thanks very much, sir, for your time here in Davos.
Thank you. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.